So my name is Diane Gibbs. This is Design Recharge. I'm the host, and today marks 9 years of Design Recharge. So I get to celebrate Design Recharge's birthday with y'all. So I appreciate Will being here. He's been in New Jersey most of the time that we've had Design Recharge. Huge supporter. Paul in Minneapolis. Costas is here, bringing up way high up in New York. Super appreciate it. From Greece, but he's in New York. Jen is bringing in San Diego, my mom in Athens, Chris Martin in Portland area, Vancouver, Washington. Brian Yan, love that you're here, buddy. He's been my Vanna for many, many years. He's in Blacksburg, Virginia. Amy Lyons is in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's probably been the person who's come to the most. I know when Amy goes on vacation, put it this way, like Amy, we weren't as good of friends in the beginning. I didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was, but she would come. So I'm very thankful, Amy, for coming to so many for 9 years. We've eaten lunch together on Wednesdays. And then Adrian was at camp last year, and I hope he comes back to camp this year. He's in Wicklow, I think, and he's in Ireland now, but he was in Bermuda and then Boston and then now in Ireland. So I'm really excited, and I'm joined by two new friends, I guess, from last year. They're not new anymore. They're old friends now. But we're going to talk about camp, and we're going to talk about how what camp did and what it was like maybe before, and what it's like now, and then what happened kind of in that in between. Because one of the things I heard was that camp was intense, and I know Jacob kept calling it a boot camp. I'm like, buddy, it's not organized enough to be a boot camp, and that seems very stressful to me. And it was less, more pleathered walls. Hey, Demi. It was less, it was more, how would you describe it, Brittany?
I would say it was more of a therapy camp. At least for me, it was like really working your mind and giving you insight and having you to like really work through things. So with like the different assignments and the way that you had it like laid out, and for me it wasn't like a lot of pressure, because like just take 1 hour a day, or 2, and then you can like do it, and you like, it can do it's doable. And then you had other things as well. So for me, I felt like it was more of a therapy session versus a boot camp.
Right. It was, I think a boot camp seems a little bit intimidating. We were practicing, we weren't doing everything perfect. Andre, how would you describe it?
I think therapy is a good way to put it, but it was like sitting around the campfire. It was like the icons you had with all the speakers.
Sparky, right?
Yeah, Sparky. So sitting around the campfire talking. So that for me, that's what it was. It was like, it was pretty heavy sometimes emotionally, but generally speaking, it's pretty fun. It's pretty chilled out.
My mom will probably say later, what did you do at camp? It was so emotionally heavy, Diane. You need to keep it lighter.
Well,
that's probably what she'll say.
Maybe.
But we don't invite her to camp, Mom. I'm just kidding. I don't say that. But I know what you mean. But we're talking about things with our business, things that really matter, because we really want it to make it. So tell me where you are, what you do, and then but we'll just start there. So Brittany, how about you start?
Where I'm at right now, right?
Well, okay. So where you are physically in the world.
Oh, I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. So Midwest girl, now living in sunny South Florida. South Florida. I say words weird, y'all. So okay. Y'all going to hear a lot of that. But that's where I'm currently right now.
Okay. And then Andre, tell them, people might have come early, but if they didn't, tell them where you are.
Yeah, I'm in Portugal from South Africa. Lived in a few different countries, but I'm now living in Portugal, just outside of Lisbon.
Okay, so now we're going to paint the picture of where you were before coming to camp. So what you were doing, where your pain points were maybe in your business. We'll just keep going in this order. So Brittani, you'll start first.
Whew.
Unless you want to pass, and then Andre can go and we can just bounce it back.
No, it's fine. I was really lost and frustrated where I was at with my business because I felt like I should have been further along in my career as far as a designer, even though I had just really started being on my own for like maybe a year and a half at that time. And I was getting like these little design jobs here and there, but was really feeling undervalued as well. And constantly just trying to prove that, you know, the way I was pricing or the way that I wanted to do things to connect with clients was, you know, worthy. But then I just kept being combated with, you know, people trying to lowball me, you know, for work, or even when the pandemic hit, you know, I was like, okay, I'm doing a special, you know, seeing what everybody else was doing, really following the crowds and just really shiny light syndrome. Like, okay, well, maybe let me try this and let me try that. So I was all over the place too at that point. And I was just starting to spiral and starting to like lose faith as far as in my ability and what I had to offer at that time. So that's where I was at.
And you were working for yourself. You were just doing your own client. There wasn't anybody else on your team, right? It's just kind of solopreneur, right?
Just solopreneur, you know, and this was like, I was excited, you know, in the beginning, I'm like, finally taking a chance on myself. You know, I'm doing something for me I didn't did for everybody else, and, you know, teacher and work for other businesses as far as doing design work. But I've always dreamed of working for myself and working on my own and designing and having the work lifestyle that I wanted to have. And I thought this would be the opportunity to do it at the time and went for it. But last year before camp, it just started to really get the pressure started to get to me, and all the things that I mentioned before was just starting to have me like really questioning myself.
Those are heavy. I don't know if we ever don't question ourselves, you know, like right in there, right? But it's good to know you're not alone, right? I think that's what the thing that comes with camp. Okay, so Andre, you paint the picture of what you were like before camp.
I was trying to find my place in the design industry and also find where I fit in. And I hadn't really, I'd been speaking to you, but I hadn't really met many people in the design industry. So
tell them what you did before.
Pretty unsure of myself. I was working in the commodities world beforehand, and I fell into graphic design out of passion, mostly doing logos. But I still didn't really know where I was fitting in terms of just being in the space, and I hadn't really met many people. And the camp gave me a situation where I met Dimi, I met Costas, I met Shane, also quite a few people that I've maintained that I speak regularly with. Jose was another person as well. So I met quite a lot of people. Alex, I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, from that, I've been, you know, it just gave me where was I at? I felt really alone, actually. So this just the camp gave me a place to network in a good manner, in a comfortable manner. So yeah, vulnerable,
not a slimy, weird manner like a used car salesman.
Or not in a boot camp way either, right? So it's like, so no, I was a bit lost and I was a bit lonely to put it in a nutshell.
Paint the picture of what you were doing for work, though. So you'd moved, you had a house in France, but you'd moved. I don't even think your wife had moved yet. Had she?
No, she had moved. So basically, I've been working for, and I'm still working for a company where I'm project managing. So I'm using my previous skills, but in project managing for web design, redesign. So I'm still doing that. But I'm pretty close to actually releasing a product which speaks more to people that are not in the design world, but in the business world. So I'm trying to bridge that gap where I feel people understand it more. I moved to Portugal to try and see how I could get into the design world. So I think, yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. So same job, but also pretty much moving on from there as well, more into managing web redesign and web pages, managing it, not doing it myself, and releasing releasing a product hopefully soon, which I'm working together with one of your spectators. Was spectator, is that right? One of your guests.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
both of you actually decided to, after camp, you started working really closely with Costas. And I know Brittani started working really closely with Melinda, who Costas was a camper, right? Who's just on fire. And then Melinda was one of the speakers last year. And so like you probably found me through Melinda, Brittani, right? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And hey, Maura's here now from Raleigh. So one of the things I wanted to highlight was that you were very present during camp. You came, you were active, you participated, but maybe you couldn't get every video done in it because it was a lot. So it's not as many this year. So I've toned it down a little bit so that it's not as maybe as intense, but there's more opportunities, same opportunities to connect with, but maybe some deeper learning to happen. But anyway, but last year, one of the things I would hear, they were like, well, I can't come to the Wednesday thing because I haven't done the work, or I haven't done the videos from this week. And I was like, you don't have to do the videos from the week to come. And I know some people came the whole time and barely even did any of the videos, which that's not the point. I spent a lot of time on this videos, people. I'm just kidding. But there was a lot that people got just from coming to just the campfire chats, because we end up doing a lot of practicing. We don't do it I'm not like, here, we're practicing, but you end up, when you meet people, it is that kind of networking, and you're doing that. You definitely aren't going to feel alone, because you're going to be with people, you're going to hear, and there's a prompt in the campfire chats or whatever. So, but the thing that you guys did was, one, that you kept learning later, but then you also both of you, for a long time, continued to post. And as you were learning, you reached out to different speakers and to different people and continued to build longer connections. And I remember, like, 6 months later, there would be a speaker messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, I just got tagged in something, and it was from one of you. And they would say, wow, that was amazing, that it's still having an impact. And I was like, well, it's a lifetime access, And Joey's here from Hawaii. Anyway, so again, I just thought that was really unique. One, I wanted people to know that, yes, the 5 weeks is really good to actually come and be present. And I know, like, you couldn't come to the Wednesday ones, Andre, because it's at midnight for you, and you have a itty bitty baby, and maybe your baby was up, but she didn't want to come to camp. But you came to a lot of the Saturday ones. And so I think that was, it was at a time where I think it was around 4 p.m. your time. But Brittani, I think you were there at almost, I don't know if you missed it all. So that's really my terrible memory, or I just think that you were there. But I think a lot of people realized that, they could just come. They didn't have to have all the lessons done. They could just come. Can you guys talk a little bit about, like, if somebody was apprehensive about coming to camp, what they could expect, like, paint the picture of what camp was? Maybe something you didn't expect?
I would say you would expect to actually put into action what you're learning. And for me, being a big procrastinator, like, I know I am, and that's something that's always a continuous thing that I'm working on. I've gotten better, over time, but I would say that the camp actually helps you to put things into action that you may want to work on that you haven't had time to really work on and pay attention to, if that makes sense. And for me, each lesson that I actually took, because I did go through, I'll say like the only ones I probably missed was like the bonus ones, maybe 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, there were 27 last year, people. It was a lot.
So, but each lesson, each speaker has something that you can actually work on. And it was something very tangible that, you know, wasn't something that you just listened to and then that was it. It was actually interactive and would help me to be able to work on things that, oh, I didn't know this is something I needed to work on, or, oh, I've been wanting to work on this. And now I can take 5-10 minutes to actually think it through, slow down and think it through, actually listen to what they're saying, taking it in. And it was more conversational versus, you know, you're just listening to somebody speak. And I also like that aspect of it as well. And with the other campers, I realized that I wasn't alone. And when you're an entrepreneur, especially a solo entrepreneur, you're doing a lot of things on your own and you're in your head all the time, you know, by yourself, trying to figure it out. And then, you know, you see things like on social media or elsewhere, thinking everybody's having a fabulous life and, you know, what's wrong with you? When you get with a group of people that are like-minded, struggling, or been where you are, and they have insights that can actually help you. I know for me, it made me feel better. It helped me to actually grow. It helped me to have better understanding of where I'm at and where I want to be, and how to actually take steps to actually progressively get there. So for me, I got a lot out of it. And I think anybody else that will actually attend would get the same as well. And especially if you put into it, like it is something that where you get in what you get in what you put out. And if you don't give anything really into it, then, you know, it's not going to really help you, especially with your mindset. But if you really go in and you really are like, I'm ready to make some changes, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to be helpful, and I'm ready to allow people to help me, like you're really going to get a lot out of the camp.
I love it. I'll use this on my website. I guess because it's being recorded, it's going to go on.
I mean, well,
that was a great. Okay, Andre, can you do you want to go first next time so you don't have to follow Brittany?
No problem.
No, because it was so good. Anyway, keep going.
3 things for me was, 1, we just hit COVID, and I think the camp was like the perfect place to experiment, because I think you were going to do something like this a while back, but I think this was like online for me, being not being in the US, it was great to be able to meet people in the where you hear a lot of design orientated talk. But also it was also the second thing was that I didn't really expect, but it was a good place to be vulnerable. Like you felt protected in each seminar. And then also going back to what Brittany was saying, was that you get what you put into it. So I felt that I wanted to. I didn't actually do all of them, but I did try to go through as many as possible, and it did give me quite a good workout just in my mind. But also the good thing about the camp is all the speakers are offering something different. So the camp gives you a good snapshot on it. It's great because 27 was a lot, but it gives you a snapshot on what every speaker is doing. And if there's something that you find resonates with you, you can then have the opportunity to go forward with that person or several people. So I thought that was pretty good, because it sort of gives you an in-depth introduction to what they do, what the various people do. So yeah, that's what, and then obviously doing it, I'm also a procrastinator, a very bad procrastinator. So trying to work through it, and I didn't finish it either, but it's still there. but going through it and then listening and then writing it all down and doing it as per the notes kind of sunk into my head. So it was a good therapy as well, I guess. That's my 2 cents on it.
So I love that. So one thing, I believe in long-term learning, and Matt's here. Matt made Ignite and Sparky, which yay. So I believe that it's helpful when you have accountability, when other people are willing to be vulnerable and willing to be honest and really willing to be open up. And also, I think it's just about like coming and being a part of it. Like maybe you didn't know all the lingo. It didn't matter. You hopefully felt like you could ask a question and you could, you didn't have to know all the answers. Again, the polish, it wasn't about, that's where it was not a boot camp. You know, like I always feel like the boot camp things are like people polishing their shoes. You're going to come in, you're going to wear a tie or something. I don't know. Like I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and, you know, like sometimes I'm keeping my eyes open with some toothpicks or something, you know, because I was pretty tired last camp, but hopefully it won't be quite as bad this year. But I mean, I hopefully have it better. Can you hear my cat snoring? Yeah. She's really loud. She needs like a CPAP machine or something. She's really loud. But sometimes Chris can say he can hear her in the editing. But anyway, she was right there. At least she's not throwing up. That happened last year at camp. I had to stop one of the speakers. I was like, hang on, my cat's throwing up. And then my dog. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to, anyway, cut all this out. But I'm just kidding, Chris. You don't have to cut that out. Okay, so, but it's good for procrastinators because there's accountability and because you can, I also think because you could talk to other people about it, they might have gotten something else out of it that you didn't get. And that's what's great about those little breakout sessions. You don't know if you're going to always be in the same thing. But one of the things that happened last year in one of the breakout sessions on one of the Wednesday or Saturdays was my friend Anne was with my friend Jacob and they knew each other. And then they were in a group together. And so, and then maybe a week later or something, they were in another group and Anne had changed how she was introducing herself. And I thought that was really interesting. And Jacob told me that. And he's like, wow, why did you introduce yourself differently? I think because we don't normally introduce ourselves. We introduce ourselves once. So that was something I made you do over and over and over. And so you got to kind of practice or figure out what you wanted to say and what you wanted to, because you need it to be clear. But as you're deciding and as you're being refined on who you are and what you want to do, then you're going to try out a different way to introduce yourself. And I think that it just ends up being really helpful. I don't know what you guys think about the introducing yourself. Anything? Do you remember?
You feel more, I guess you get more confident, you know, you get more confidence in who you are and what you do. I guess that's what I felt.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree. And then also too, like you get practice in introducing yourself. I don't think that we introduce ourselves a lot to people, right? When we get into different spaces or for networking, you know, with, you know, especially virtually, and they're like, oh, who are you? And instead of just saying, oh, I'm Brittani, you can say, oh, I'm Brittani, this is why, blah, blah, blah. So getting that practice like was very helpful.
André, you were working alone as well. You were with teams with the other thing when you're doing project management, but you were still in your house alone and you didn't have other people that were entrepreneurs that you were talking with on a regular basis. And I guess that's where my thing is that I really just don't want people to be alone on their entrepreneurial journey. And now could you hear like, holy moly, she's so loud. Nevin.
Yes, I heard that. But I've got a Boston who he hasn't started snoring, but he might just start snoring.
I know, but I can't hear but maybe it's because of my ear disease, but I don't know. Anyway, so can you paint the picture of what happened? Brittani, I know you made a big decision right after camp. And soon after, I think, André, you started working with Costas. So can you kind of take us through kind of those decisions? Because I think, I know Jose did too. So, I mean, there's a lot of community happening. And I think that stuff's just beautiful, because people who were campers, people who were speakers, were also having these awesome things that they were making as well. And I do think that we learn better when we're together. And the thing about procrastination, before I get you going, because of, sorry about the ADHD, is that Adrian says he hates practicing. Okay, I'll make sure you're always with me, Adrian. You never have to introduce yourself. You can be somebody new every time. I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't know you hated it. But about learning over time is that you got to be, it could sink in a little bit. So I feel like it's like a lot of things. Some workshops are like a buffet. You get like 5 hours of learning, and then there's nothing. There's no time for you to think or reflect. And that's where, for me, that's why I did the worksheets. I was trying to make it so that, I don't know if you used your worksheets, but I have all of them right here. But it was maybe trying to get you to think about something else. So there was like a time to learn, a time to reflect, and then a time to process with others, and then a time to act. So I feel like there was like some sort of weird recipe for taking action. But both of you actually took some serious action. I mean, Andre, I think you've gone through 2 revisions of websites, right? Like you've had one website, and then you relaunched, you focused in, and now you're Strike North. Brittani, you want to tell them where you were and what some of your decisions were after camp? Because you were really, I mean, I felt like both of you were kind of on a high.
Oh yeah, I was definitely on a I can do anything type of high. So for me, it was about really just putting into action what I learned, and that was really preached a lot within the camp. And I know that's something I wasn't really, doing. So rather it was, at least putting newsletters out and once a week, and blogging once a week, and coming up with a system that would work for me, was really able to really start to put into action the things I've been wanting to do. And then with Melinda, she has her brand strategy boot camp, and there's a lot.
Much more polished.
And there's a lot of brand strategy workshops and programs out there and whatnot. And it was a really big investment for me to consider, like, is this something that I can actually afford to do? And would it really work for me? Because one of the things I was hesitant on was taking like a course or another course, and the freebies wasn't really doing anything for me or whatnot. And it wasn't that I didn't trust Melinda. I really liked her, and she's the one that helped me to learn about the Creators Night summer camp and everything. But I was like, man, this is an investment, and it's an investment in myself. And I started talking to myself about it. But she had offered an email mini course. And then I seen one of the testimonials, and I was able to reach out to that person and really make a connection with them and ask them questions about the boot camp, the brand strategy boot camp that she had, because I really want to make sure before I invest in something, was it really going to be something that I can actually use and put into practice, and was it really worth it, right? Because there's tons of courses out there, and you spend all this money on it, and it's not even worth anything. But anyhow, after a lot of consideration, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it work. And I made the investment, and it was the biggest investment I've made thus far into myself, into the business, and other things I did as well, which I realized over time that I wasn't really investing in myself like I should have been, to help me to propel myself where I want to go, and to also think of things I'm doing for myself as an investment, not like an expense. It was awesome, and it's still awesome. It's still continuously going on as far as the education part of it, and then connecting with different ones within that community, and how we get together and we talk about our process and what we're doing. We're helping each other out. Like, she has a real great community there, and it's geared towards what I've been wanting to do and actually am doing now. And that's like, yes, I know, I'm so proud of myself too. But it's been really helpful. And I got a return on my investment, and I'm so proud of that actually happening too, that I was able to like make the money back and have some plus. So it's like, I'm actually doing it. Not saying that I'm, don't have a lot of room for improvement, but but
We all do.
definitely, yeah, but definitely going with that program with Melinda has helped me put myself in a better headspace and also mindset as well, and being realistic too about the process of how I want to do things and how everything is continuously learning. And she has like this amazing manifesto about being uncertified, because sometimes we don't think that we are enough and we're always questioning ourselves, but we already have enough. I think that's a Nick line, by the way.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely that was a huge improvement and move that I did last year that is really starting to have some dividends to it going on to this year and moving forward.
I think it's not only the investment of money, it's also the investment of time, and that you're investing in yourself and your growth. So you had like a 5-week thing, and then you did another little thing, and then you went. I remember us talking, you're like, if I get in, because she doesn't accept everybody, but if you get in, you were going to do it. Like you'd figured it out and you were going to make it work. And I think that's awesome. So I'm really glad. And I'm so glad that you've had such great, like, I think sometimes I think you needed the community. You needed Melinda's community. You needed those other brand strategists to talk about things. But I think it's also, kind of, you got to, you didn't, I don't know. I'm just super proud because I think you got a spark started at camp, and then your flame just kept going.
Yeah. I had to put myself there too. I had to put myself in the environment and in a position of where I wanted to be. And I understand that I wasn't doing that before, and a lot of things that was like, I thought was like, oh, it's everybody else. And, they're the issue and stuff. It was also me too. Like, oh, well, I'm the one that's attracting these clients for a reason, or having these issues for a reason, because I wasn't setting boundaries, or I was accepting like, those very, very low rates for logos and websites and things of that nature. And I was putting my own self in those situations where I'm like, why can't I, I'm as good as that person, or I can't believe they get paid this much, and why? And I had to understand like, what was it that I needed to do? And especially with the summer camp, and then also with Melinda's boot camp, and continuously, I'm still learning, but there's actions that I needed to do on my end to continuously position myself to where I wanted to be and where I'm going. And that's something that mindset change had to happen, and continuously cultivating that to continue to progress forward.
Love that. All right, Andre, how about you?
Yeah, I think for me, it was finding connections. I mean, I was pretty starstruck meeting Matt, like a real illustrator. I was like, wow, this is so awesome. This is really cool. I think Demi was one of the first people that I spoke to one-on-one. So I think for me, just finding community, which was something that was important for me to maybe to not really, maybe to, I don't think accept it, but just to meet people everywhere. And then from that, obviously, I've been in contact with quite a few people regularly, finding out where they're at, where I'm at, because otherwise, being alone, you feel that you're the.
Oh no! Did he stop for you too?
Yes, he's going to come back. He's got to come back.
So, Brittani, why don't you tell him what happened? Because you kept connecting with speakers and other people. Because I thought that was really unique, and also you and Andre were two people who did it a lot, but not in a weird, slimy way, like in a so loving, awesome way. But what kind of response did you get?
I got a lot of gratitude, and some of the speakers were surprised as far as like, oh, I'm so glad that made sense and that you connected, with it. And they were just really happy that something that they said and presented was very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I did was I just reached out to anybody's contact information that I can reach, whether it was email or through social media, and just told them how their presentation and their worksheet, like how I was actually using it, how it's actually helped me. And doing that was helping me to hold myself accountable as well. And then also to just really want to take what I was doing more seriously and to put it into practice. And somebody said a long time ago, like, it's good to just show gratitude and also to just continue to reach out to people and just like, just try. You never know what happens if you like reach out to somebody. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do as well, because I was just so appreciative too of like, just, finally feeling like I just cleared the fog that was like in my head a bit.
Yeah, I love that. Okay.
Andre, you made it back.
I know, now you're on your phone. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Technical problems. Lost the internet. I'm not sure what happened there.
Okay, so you got stuck on. I'm just kidding. I don't remember where you were.
Basically, it was just really good to regroup with people that were like-minded. From there, I've managed to meet people that I speak with regularly. We all have the same pain points. I actually also partook in Costas's forest method, which I think what helped me during the summer camp was actually find out where I actually wanted to be and how and find out the people that I wanted to hang with and the courses that meant something to me that I would get something out of, much in the same way as Brittani, where you're investing into something that you believe in. I think that's the big takeaway there. And from that, it's progressed into productization of something that I'm doing, where Costas has guided me. So basically, I think the summer camp is just a great place to find out, just to give your mental mind a bit of a spring clean and meet new people, genuinely meet new people online, and figure out if there's any courses to better yourself that you want to further yourself on. That was my takeaway from the summer camp.
Love it. So I wanted to do you guys want to tell them where you are now, kind of what you're doing in your business now, and then I'll open up the floor if anybody else wants to share or has a question. You just have to raise your hand. I think you can do that at the bottom. There's a raise hand, and then I can bring you on camera. And if you don't want to show your face, that's fine. You can just ask the question audibly. But anyway, so Brittani, you want to start?
So at this moment, I am really positioning myself as a brand strategist. I like to call myself a visionary supporter. That's the 2 words that I'm put together finally, and really start to revamp the way that I'm actually doing things and how it's being presented. So even with my
new processes?
Yes. So for me, like, I actually just slow down and did one great brand strategy session the way that I wanted to, but design and web. And then I'm making it to a case study. So for the second half of the year, really going to be showcasing that and really putting into work all the things that I've been wanting to promote, and for myself, it's separating from being just a designer, because that's what I was promoting. And I realized that I was like, oh, I need to stop just showing designs. I need to show the actual process of how I got to that and using brand strategy to do that. So I had to really just take a step back and start changing all of that, and really, and also just been working. I've just been working between doing strategy and I getting out of this whole design contract that I had just finished up, and looking forward to, now that that's over with, looking forward to just really honing in on brand strategy. And then starting with that. And then also too, I have a contractor that I'm working with now that's been helping me out, and slowly starting to really figure out like, how can I work with more contractors and how that works. I've never done that before. So that's a new experience for me in project management in that way, so that way I can focus on the actual strategy part, which has been exciting.
Hey, that's one of the things we're talking about this year at camp is scaling. Although I know some people don't like that word, but it's about like delegation and like that, those next steps kind of in your business. So that's so cool. Anyway, I'm not like trying to sell it. You guys don't have to come.
No problem.
I sure would like for y'all to come.
In the education part, I know that we've talked about that. So I actually pitched my ideas to the city and the county. So I'm very, very hopeful that those things will actually pan out, as far as also carrying out the education part, that I really want to help small businesses understand the pitfalls that they fall into when starting out. And I know that for myself, like, even though they may not be able to afford my services or whatnot, but to help them along the way until they're able to meet with someone like Andre, or they're able to meet someone like Melinda, who can actually do big strategy for them, or myself, until they can get to that point. But a lot of times, because small businesses don't understand certain things, they fail and they don't represent themselves the way that they want to be represented. And a lot of times it's the basic, simple things that they're forgetting or are not even aware of on how to position themselves. And that's something that, at least in my area, that the city and county understands and feels needs to be addressed. And so I'm in talks with them. And I know me and you had talked about, you like, just tell them and just pitch it and see what happens. And so it's like, all right, I'm going to try. And finally, have over the past couple of months been able to talk with them. And I know that's something I want to work on towards later in the year or the beginning of next year. But I know I need to start now the conversations about possibly offering some type of way to be helpful in my own community. So that's something I've been working towards, and see what happens. You
got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right, Andre, how about you?
Actually pretty parallel with Brittany there. I've figured out, because of talking with you for a long time, is not to forget what I was doing in the past. So I'm building up a hybrid agency, but at the same time, I'm also understanding there's a lot of people that don't understand branding or brand strategy, should I say. And in fact, that's one of the things I'm in developing at the moment, is something for smaller business to be able to access and understand and do it for themselves in the beginning. So that's where I'm at now, is trying to build up an agency of, working with designers and web designers, instead of trying to do it myself, is just sort of, I guess you were calling it scaling it up. So so this is where I'm at, is trying to expand the business and do more project management, and also locally is try and also educate or shed some light on strategy to the small businesses where I'm based. There's a lot of tourism here, and just sort of have workshops where people can easily access some of the knowledge.
That's awesome. I mean, but you've gone through iterations. You both have practiced a lot on other people. You've done, part of, I know what you've done with Costas is just, you have to talk to people. And I think that when you get in that practice of, you're not selling, you're just kind of like sharing ideas. And then if they want to work with you, they can, right? So I am going to share both of their links, but I just wanted you guys to, if anybody does want to come on, now is the time to raise your little hands.
Good to see you, Diane. Haven't saw you for a while. I have been extremely busy for working on the forest. And Brittany, that was very inspiring. Good job. Congratulations. I think I'm registered to your newsletter, so you always have great information. And what I can say for André, oh man, André has been very much an inspiration to me. And when I was building a product tailored to pioneers like André, that they need some extra help, and you cannot build a product without knowing your target audience. For me, target audience is hungry pioneers to grow. So what he's having right now in place, I think everybody's going to be, wow. He made an amazing productization of his service. He gets it, and he will be able to scale fast. So I have great belief in André. Also, I have to say about the camp, I'm getting married July 3rd, so I'm trying to squeeze it to be a part of it. But yeah, I think I'm not going to miss it. Either way, I'm going to be there. So you know me. I'm always there. Great friends that I met. Fabio, Brian, Paul, Dimi. Like Dimi said, that you must have the most wholesome community. I think I have to agree with that. You do have the most wholesome community, because all the people, somehow we're all aligned with just being awesome and great. So what I want to say is that for this camp, my expectations, Diane, is to get more people, to know about how awesome you are in what you do, to bring people together. You're a connector. I think you're the greatest connector I ever met in my life, and that's a true story, right?
Well,
yeah.
Thank you.
You are. I mean, think about it. All of us that we're hearing out right now, this nice interaction right now. I haven't met anybody who has this kind of passion to connect with people. Say, you should meet this guy and you should meet this girl. That's Diane. So say, hey, Amy, I missed you, Amy. Yeah. So I'm so excited about everything that's going on. I'm so excited to see progress. Right? I mean, Brittany, she seems to do amazing. André, he's killing it, and. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about everything. This is a new world that you're bringing in place, Diane. So thank you for that. That's all I have to say. And hello, everybody. I missed you all.
It's good to see you. And I'm glad. I'm excited about you getting married, but I'm also excited about you're doing a lot of things too. You're like to juggle lots of things all at once. But I think what you said is really insightful, because seeing the progress, like where you were last year, like Brittany, where you were before camp last year, André, where you were before camp last year, even Kostas, even where me and you were before camp last year. It's like, I mean, I get a lot out of it too. It's not just, sitting back eating bonbons, or just sweating, in the whatever, in the weeds, but it's really, it is an opportunity to get to know people and to really get to know them. And I always feel like why I like the camp theme is because camp, I always picture like kids going to camp. I went to Girl Scout camp. I did not have a good time. I cried. My mom has the letters and it's like, this is my tear. And I would circle it. Anyway, I clearly a very sad kid. I don't know why. I don't know why I cried so much, but anyway, but I remember I liked it during the day, I would have fun and do things, but we were all there. Nobody knew how to canoe. We were like, we're just going to, we had faith that they could teach us how to canoe and that we were going to try and that we were going to have fun trying. And I think that we just need that in our business a little bit more. Like, we don't have to know it all. There's a whole lot of people who know a lot more about certain things. And that's why, I love, Kostas, you were a camper, but oh my goodness, you made such an impact on so many people's lives just by being there and then continuing relationships. And I think that that's, to me, this is what, I never kick anybody out of the Slack channel. If you only came to camp the first year, you still have access to the Slack channel. There is this year's Slack. I mean, it's the same Slack, but there'll be a little things that the other people won't have access to because it'll be private. So there is that private, but I don't ever want to kick somebody out because it wasn't the right time. They can leave if they want, but that's, for me, it's like, once you're my friend, you're always my friend. And whether or not you can come, then that's okay. Like, we don't always get to spend time. My mom would say, yeah, I want you to come home. I have not seen my mom since Christmas. And usually I go home twice a year. And she's like, it's that time probably. And I will, Mom, I swear. But I think that it's about, we come into each other's lives, but once you're there, like, it's really nice to have some relationships that you can come back to and you can tap into, especially when you're in need of something. And sometimes you might not need it right then, and then you need it later. Or like now, Brittani and Andre are like, oh, maybe we should be friends because we're both doing brand strategy. Maybe that would be a good place. You guys could meet up and just talk about some of those things that you're like working through, that somebody outside that you've kind of learned in two separate ways, but you probably learned a lot of the same things. Just so you guys know, for next week, which is the last design recharge before camp, we're doing there's 4 workshops at camp this year. One is included, and it's the first Tuesday. So it's right before your wedding. Maybe you'll be able to come. It's on June 29th. It's on my dad's birthday. Not that matters because my dad's not coming. But so on June 29th, I'm going to do a workshop, and it's really about how to get to know each other. So you're going to do some exercises with other people and get to know some of the other campers. So set that stage hopefully a little bit early. And then we'll have a campfire chat on Wednesday. And then you get the lessons. There's 3 lessons per week. And then every Friday from July 16th, July 23rd, and July 30th, there are 3 workshops. So if you get the middle package, which is called the Adventurer, that package comes with all the workshops. The Happy Camper, I've gotten rid of the day camper because I believe if you're not here for community, then you're not here for me, because I think community is so critical. Like last year, I hope nobody's here. This was a day camper, but I feel like you missed out on one of the most beautiful parts of camp was the community and the time to be together and to learn from each other. And like Andre, you were saying, just to be vulnerable, be willing. I think the content was great. You could totally get a lot out of that.
Dan,
yeah.
It's just to also just people who haven't been before, if somebody's an introvert, they may feel a bit intimidated with your first workshop. But just to reiterate, it's not a boot camp, and it's pretty easy going. So if you are an introvert, you should still go. It's not nothing's going to make you feel like Diane did at nighttime in her summer camp days when she was a kid.
Right, so circling my tears. Yeah.
If you want to, you could be a fly on the wall, like just being able to listen.
Just be there, right?
Well, and every breakout room has a leader. So there's a lot of camp counselors so that you're not alone and somebody's not taking over all of the air, right? Somebody's not having the whole 10 minutes and they're just talking about them. That person is kind of leading you around and making sure that everybody has time. So there are things put in place. I know Fabio was a counselor, not trained, a camp counselor, people, not like a psychologist counselor. Although I'm sure Fabio could do a great job in that too, but we're not trying to. I don't want to like. Oh, well, I thought there were counselors. No, not that kind of counselor. He can help you with your canoeing, that part, and just making sure everybody's talking and doing stuff together. But next week, as the last design recharge, where I'm going to talk to Van, is going to do a cameo because she can't be here because she has a client thing that day. But and Fabio can be your therapist. We'll put his number down below for you. But
he's a good DJ.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of DJs, Barry and Chris, Costas, right? But the other 2 people who are doing workshops are going to be there. So if you are like, yeah, I'm just going to get the Happy Camper, and then I'm going to add one workshop, then come next week, because that's what we're going to talk about is the 3 additional workshops that are in addition. I'm just trying new things, trying to make sure that I'm always pushing myself in uncomfort. I think I've learned how to do different things with bundles, and one of our friends, Rafi, was like, you should use Zapier and just make it easier for yourself. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to call Rafi because I cannot figure this thing out. But hopefully I can. And if anybody knows about Zapier, please message me or call me, Diane@recharging.com. If you're listening to this, hopefully it's already automated and I'm not sitting there with my husband putting everybody in like I did manually last year. Anyway, my pain point, but I'm gonna make sure I get it. But come next week, and then we have one design recharge during camp, and it's Annette Redan, and she is going. She's speaking at camp, but then she's also going to be doing so that we have a design recharge during camp, so people at camp get an idea of what design recharge is like. So
She's
a little
amazing.
bit. I know she is. She's awesome.
She's
I'm
amazing.
really excited to have her. So thank you guys. Kostas, thank you for being my only person who would pop up. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here and sharing. I really, really appreciate it. And just for giving so much of your time for so many people and helping so many on their journey of being able to sell in a way. Is my sound funny? It sounded funny. Like I was a robot.
Keep going.
Did it?
Sounds good.
Okay. Anyway, and then Andre, just thank you so much for being here. And when Brian Yan puts something funny in the chat, I have a hard time. He said, "Cyborg Diane is back, y'all." So, Andre, just thank you for just being my friend all this whole time and giving me great feedback. And being able to see how you've pivoted. And I just love seeing that. And Brittani, you are such a joy. You are such a love spreader. And I'm so, oh, Rachel's here. I'm so glad that you've been able to grow so much and that you did take it as an investment. And that you were able to do Melinda's and just the time investment, the money investment, but then just the education that you've been able to do. It's just so, I feel like I'm super proud of y'all, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
So I hope you guys will
Thank
join
you.
us next week. And if you check your emails, just so you know, if you were at camp last year, you have a deeper discount. There is a coupon code that makes the early bird even earlier. Maybe not earlier, even cheaper. But I think earlier sounds better than cheaper. I don't know what's going on with my sound. I don't want to touch anything. Anyway,
I'm excited.
but so check that out. And I texted Melinda and said that you were like loving on her, and she said, "Oh, she's wonderful." So anyway, thank you all for loving on other people, and thank you for making the world a better place. And I'm super excited. I hope I see you again soon. I hope everybody comes next week too. And my new friend Jen is here, and I'm glad that Rachel got to come, and Joey, it's always good to see you, and Barry and Adrian. Oh, let me tell you one thing. Adrian, I think you're in Whitlock, right? In Ireland? Maybe I should hit. Anyway, so one of the speakers is from Ireland, and he's in Whitlock, which I think is the same place you are. And of course, Adrian's not answering in the chat. Oh, in Cork. Is it near? Maybe I don't have the right address. Oh yeah, and today's 9 years. So, and Jen, I'm so glad to have you. Okay, well, we'll see you guys. Oh no, what am I doing? I gotta share your links. I shared Kostas's. So if you guys, theforestmethod.com. But then I also want to make sure, yes, absolutely. And Matt Wood, amazing, did all the graphic or did the brand. What did you call it, Kostas? Branding system. I should know.
Branding illustration system. He's calling it brand attitude. So.
Oh, awesome! I love it. So
Matt
then,
Wood,
Matt. Absolutely. Okay, so let me just make sure you can. Andre's is Strike North. Oh, you guys are moving it too fast. StrikeNorth.com. Just like it spelled. And then on LinkedIn, it's André G-A-G Design. André Gagiano. And then Brittani is Brittani Millington, and she is Brittani with an I, Brittani M as in Michigan, and design.com. It's down below. I suck at this part. Brittani on LinkedIn, if Brittani hyphen, anyway, it's down below. It's her full last name and then dash 2014. And then also on Instagram, Brittani with an I, M Design. So I hope you guys, all the links are there. Thank you for coming and being here and being my friends. And I can't wait to see you at camp.
Happy ninth.
See you
Happy
soon,
ninth
and
birthday.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks for celebrating Design Recharge's 9th birthday with me. My mom's
Amazing.
probably like, holy moly, it's been 9 years. My husband was like, that's a long time for prison. And I was like, oh, whatever. It's not prison. He's so anyway, thank you guys. I'm going to hit stop and hopefully we'll see you guys next week.